Hey, let's get back to the basic things, the little things, the simple things that are oh so good. What are we talking about? A 4-ingredient recipe for a loaf of bread that'll blow your mind. It is oh so tasty. You know, people often think,
what do they think, Kent?
bread is hard to make. Well, it's not. A loaf of bread is not difficult. 1.5 cups warm H2O. I'm using my chemistry degree this morning, Shan. And yeast. So we're going to use one package, and I prefer to use rapid rise because I'm in a hurry. I want to eat. To that, what always comes next when you're using yeast to make bread? Anybody? You over there by the swimming pool just drying off. Yes, sir, you are right. Sugar. You got to have that sugar because sugar, after the yeast, kickstarts the yeast and going to make it work. Now, we're actually going to give this time to proof. We're going to wait till we see the bubbles coming up, and you got to let it bubble up everywhere to where things are working. That way we know the yeast is good. You know, while this is proofing, it'd be a really good time to what? Have a giveaway. It would. Don't y'all be liking my brand new shirt that Ariat sent me? They are a great sponsor, and I be always looking good. $100 gift certificate. Yes, So stay tuned. We're going to tell you how to get in this. You thought you was going to get it now, didn't you? Stay tuned till the end of the video. We'll tell you how you can have a chance to win a $100 gift certificate from Ariat and look as good as me. Proofed it has. The proof is in the pudding. Yes, it has. It is proofed on up there. It has. And it calls for 2 large eggs. Let me go to the chicken house. Nope, Shan ate all the eggs this morning.
No, I didn't.
You did. You did eat all the eggs. And it is August, and hens begin to molt at this time, and Gladys and the girls have forced me to go to the store and buy some fake eggs. They really did. This is disheartening. I had a talk with them. I took the cookbook out there, showed them the chicken and dumpling recipe. They say they're going to do a better job tomorrow. We need to go ahead and add, it don't make no difference which order you do this, some kosher salt.
Why kosher?
I think it dissolves faster and quicker and incorporates better. And then we're going to add 2 hen fruit, cackleberries. Now I'm going to mix that up really well till everything is smooth and it'll froth up just a little. Well, as that's just sitting there, we're going to let that yeast go ahead and just mix up with them eggs really well. We need to get us some flour and put in here, but don't be buying cheap flour. No. Remember, this is a tip that I'm going to give you. Always buy really good flour. Now, if you're making bread consistently and just making it like once a week, go ahead and buy you some good bread flour. Don't pack this cup. This has to be pretty close to that right there. And we're going to put 3.5 to 4 cups. We're always going to start out with the least amount. Remember that. Every time you make a bread recipe, when you look at it, it says, oh, it calls for 4 cups. Atmospheric conditions and where you're at make such a difference. I mean, so start out with the least amount. We can add to it if we need to, but if it's too dry, you just well go ahead and give it to the chickens. Folks, this part is optional right here. But I like my bread that I'm making, this sandwich bread. I like for it to have a little garlic powder in there. I do, but I also like to put some onion powder. Bring this back over here. Go ahead and give it one more stir. Let's dump the flour in there. You want to? Wrong. We're not going to dump the flour in there. We're going to put it in there a little at a time and sort of fold it in. Just keep mixing around there. So just go ahead and sprinkle you some more in there. You can use a wooden spoon, a spatula. It don't work too well with a whisk right now, so discard that rascal. Well, folks, that is with 3.5 cups, and you can see that that's still pretty wet. So sprinkle some in there. I like to get around the edges a little, I do. We just want it to where it looks sort of like a shaggy dough, okay? Now, that's sort of like Mage when he ain't had no haircut. You'll just see it sort of just go to raveling out on you. That's sort of what we're looking at. Mage is somewhere. Mage, what are you doing? Get over here. The camera is calling you. Mage is about him and the Beager, the only ones present this morning.
Sadie's right over here.
Oh, Sadie here? It's pretty warm, so they're probably thinking that there is no meat involved in this video yet. We're not for sure that we're invested. You can see, folks, how that sort of just rolls around in here. That's sort of really what I'm after. It'll just turn loose everywhere and roll around. You can see there's still some wet spots in there, but that's okay because we're going to need this dough for 5 minutes. Yeah, You heard me right. You got some kids that ain't got nothing to do, get them on up there at the top of the table, pull a stool up and say, here you go, knead this dough. We got to exercise them glutens, get them to going where they get all stretched out, get them get that elasticity of that dough, bring it back over, fold it. Alexa, set a timer for 5 minutes. I always love to do that because then y'all give me in the comments, you made my Alexa go off.
You've got a lot of flour on your hat.
Hey, it's okay. It's part of the perks of being a chef in a cowboy hat. Back in the same bowl, I like to give it just a tad of greasing. That way we ain't dirtying up too many dishes. Put it in here, and I'm gonna give you a little tip to get this to rise. You can put a cup towel over this and just let it sit in a warm place, but I really like to preheat that oven to 300 degrees for about 3 or 4 minutes, then turn it off, slip that in there with a cup towel over, and guess what? You have risen bread due to the magic of TV, and the cowboy got up early. So voila! It has risen up, it has. It should just dump right out of there, we hope. Let's see what happens. Oh, it did dump right out of there, it did. Give it a greasing. Now, when you get it to here and you're going to sort of just mold it to fit in here, go ahead and give it a little mashing. You're not going to hurt it because we want it to be pretty level. Give you another little tip. Grease this here kitchen knife, and we're just going to make an incision right in here, and you're just going to have to just barely cut and pull. Cut and pull. So just make you a trough that's going to hold 2 tablespoons of melted butter and pour it over gently. Go ahead and grease you some wax paper or just get you another tea towel, put it over here, set it in a warm spot, let it rise for another 30 minutes, and then we're gonna bake it. Tad breezy it has in the last 30 minutes while the bread is rising. Make a sailboat today, we could go across dry ground, we can, but let's see what happened here. Voila! We have a loaf of bread. That butter has soaked all in there. Isn't that pretty, folks? And you be thinking to yourself, Cowboy Ken Rollins, he cooks a lot of stuff in a Dutch oven, but that's not a Dutch oven, that's a loaf pan. Well, for you folks that's cooking in a house, go ahead, preheated that oven now to 350. Gonna slap in there about 30 to 40 minutes till it cooks and gets good and golden brown. But who wants to be adventurous? We're gonna cook it in a Dutch oven. This will set directly in a Dutch oven, but folks, you can't do this in a shallow 12-inch, something like that. You need a deep 14 because you're going to have room top and bottom, because this is going to rise a little more, and with a 12 you'd be already mashing the lid. So make sure you're doing it in a deep oven. So before we put any kind of metal in there that we're going to set directly in a Dutch oven, I'm going to give it just a light coat of oil on the bottom. I have done this to this Dutch oven, but make sure you give it just a light coat. You don't want a bunch in there because it'll go to smoking, but just give it a light coat of oil. It'll help your cast iron as you're cooking. Well, you see me drag them coals over, and today we're using some good Fogo hardwood lump charcoal that we started with that propane torch. Let them get pretty good white and hot. Now, I put a pretty good heavy layer around the outside on the bottom of it because remember, we're in that bread pan. You see me put the top pretty light because, folks, we're just about this far away from the lid anyway, and we're just going to cook that top as slow as we can, get that to rise a little more as it's cooking. Now, the ways we would adjust our heat during cooking is we could pull the coals back farther from it or bring them closer to it. Well, folks, we've been on about 5 minutes, but from years of experience with the amount of wind we got in cooking bread that's going to rise, we need to take a look. We do. Oh my goodness, look at what is happening here. This is why you exercise them glutens. I mean, get that stuff to just jump on out of that pan. So we are going to get rid of some of this heat that on top and have some residual heat that'll probably finish cooking this. We'll go ahead and rotate this around there. Get rid of some of this bigger heat and move this stuff up here to the center of this Dutch oven. Maybe it'll keep us from burning that quite so bad. But I guarantee you, as brown as you see that layer getting on the top, the inside of that bread is still just as doughy as it can be. So we're going to have to slow this down completely. So I'm going to rake that heat away from it on the bottom a little, and we'll just keep cooking as slow as we can to get that perfect cook all the way through. Well, folks, you can see that's browning a little faster than I want it to, and you can see that bread pan is running that away. So what we're going to try to do is target this heat just a little. Remember, it's running this direction, so we're going to try to get them ends a little. And you can see that ain't a whole lot of coal there. I promise you that good cast iron is holding a lot of residual heat in there. Hey girls, it is story time it is. Come on in here, let's have a story. Girls, I know it's hot and it's August and I know y'all are molting and laying production has went down, but I heard on the Google that if you read stories to your chickens, it helps the laying process. So the story today is Sunday hen and sourdough dumplings. Yeah, does that get your attention? Sunday hen? And we're gonna start with what? A whole chicken. Who wants to be the volunteer? Does it want to be you? Do you want to be the chicken that's going to be the volunteer and come and help us make the sourdough dumplings? I think you do. Read the book, Gladys. One dead chicken if she ain't laying eggs. That would be you. So you're just going to sit here, huh? I was so proud that bottom turned out about like it did, and I love to look at a loaf of bread just like this because it's not doughy. You can see there's a lot of air holes in here, which means it's light and fluffy. Well, I ain't got but 2 contestants out here today. Come here, Sade. Mage, I'm gonna give y'all a bite first. Where is Sade-a-Loot?
Where's Major?
Mage is right here. He says, I like bread.
Oh.
Big, there comes a big. He said, am I missing out? He will eat a piece of bread if he gets a chance. There you go. I'm just going to tear me a chunk of this off right here because I want that crust. Look at the good layers of flakiness in here too. You can see them. I mean, this is what you call fresh from the bakery. We're going to do I need to exercise the gluten dance. First you got to get in shape, get your stamina, get to going really good, and then you just break down, rub them gluten, rub them. I'm not a tootin', I am a rootin' for some gluten. Whew. I'm talking that stuff is good, folks. So remember, folks, I told you the good folks at Ariat was telling us, hey, we got a $100 gift certificate ready to be given away. And how are you going to win it? By giving me your comment that says, this is what I would like to top this bread with to make it even better. 1 week from the day this video airs, we will pick a winner, and you need to keep an eye on your comments. And folks, we've been having some of them spammers out there, them troll guys that say, hey, text me at 473-965-924-839. That is not us. Ours will have our picture, sure enough, but we'll have that little check mark that means it is verified. We will never ask you for money. We will never ask you for personal information. We try to get rid of them as soon as we can find them on there, but just watch out and let us know, do you see one? It really helps. But as always, I tip my hat, and it is with great honor and privilege that I salute all our veterans, servicemen and women, everybody that's kept that old flag flying safely. We appreciate you one and all. Rest of you, come on in here. Come on, get close now. We're gonna give you a big old bread bear hug. Oh my gosh. God bless you each and every one, and I'll see you down the simplest, best homemade bread trail ever. It's called MacGyverizing.
So you've got an apron string, a bungee cord,
And another apron string.
and it's tied to what?
Piece of conduit.
Huh.
Guaranteed not to withstand a breeze over 10 miles an hour.